I could ask all of you if you could make your way to your seats once you've signed in. And once we've opened, feel free to continue to eat.
Yeah, at the back
and
table.
get more food as you need.
Once you've signed in, please make your way to your seats so we can begin. Thank you, folks.
But she can speak into that microphone. You have to turn it around.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah.
If you stand, yes.
Let's stand the other
This is so much. Yes, you are.
Alice, you ready?
yes.
Am I starting this off?
I made it. Yeah, you did.
Before you take your seat, please make sure you've signed in at the back table before you take your seat. Thank you.
Thank you. As you heard Jeremy say, once you've signed in, please grab a seat. And when you're signing in, I think we're looking for updated contact info from you. So please make sure you've done that as well. Email, phone, and then designate how you would like your documents sent to you. Please sign in. So before I call the meeting to order, Alistair and I were talking, and Alistair and I are, how do you say it, we're getting forgetful as we continue to lose follicles. And sometimes we forget little things, sometimes we forget big things. But today we forgot a big thing. So we're both actually quite chagrined, and we want to try to make it right.
So the thing we forgot was it's somebody's birthday today, or last weekend technically. We got to announce that because it was a 5 or a 0. Colin was 80 last week. And I wonder, we wouldn't do this in church, but I wonder if we could give him the song Happy Birthday. Is the second thing that goes on you. Do you remember what the first was? Okay, so here we are. It's 12:06, and I'd like to call the meeting to order, and we will open up with a prayer, and then with a meditation and some meditative music. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Gracious God, as we gather in this sacred space to discern your will for our community, guide our hearts and minds. Grant us wisdom, patience, and humility as we deliberate and make decisions that will shape the path of our communities. May your spirit of unity and love be present among us, leading us to act in accordance with your divine purpose. Amen. Amen.
And this is how. So I'd like to invite you
supporting your body, or the floor if you're standing. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dixie Black, your retired deacon. So now that you're aware of your body, become aware of your breath. Take a moment to notice yourself breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And try to slow your breathing just a bit and a little longer on your exhale. Just a little bit longer on your exhale. The next breath in, breathe in the love of God. Breathe out our willfulness. Breathe in the peace of God. Breathe out our need for control. Breathe in the charity of God, and breathe out my own needs. Breathe in the Spirit of God, and breathe out anger and righteousness. Breathe in and breathe out. And try and stay in touch with your breath during the vestry. Amen.
Hey, y'all. Hello. Some of you have sung this with me before, and some of you might not have. So what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you a chorus, and we'll sing it together. And then I'm going to sing, I think, 2 verses of this song, maybe 1. And then you'll hear that there's a piece of it that kind of keeps coming back. You can join with me on that if you want to. You'll know what I mean when we get there. But I'm going to teach you this chorus, okay? Okay, so it goes. Hang on, I gotta figure out where it's living. Okay, there it goes. There it is. Oh, we labor unto glory. Sing it back to me. Oh, we labor unto glory, till heaven and earth are one, till heaven and earth are one. That first line comes back. Oh, we labor unto glory. Oh, we labor unto glory, until God's kingdom come. Until God's kingdom comes. Let's do the whole thing. Oh, we labor unto glory, till heaven and earth are one. Oh, we labor unto glory, until God's kingdom comes. My God, where'er I go, glory. Where I reap and where I sow, glory. And my hands, they grip the thorn, glory.
we'll move on. Our agenda, the next item 2 is the appointment for the Vestry clerk, which for this meeting will be Jogo Portela. Moving on to 3, adoption of the agenda. We have an agenda before us, and can I have a mover? Kevin, Mark seconding. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Excellent. Agenda is adopted. Next item is the resolution of thanks. We began this a few years ago, and so what I would like to do is to have a mover and a seconder to open that resolution, and throughout the entire meeting, because as you notice, sometimes we forget things or things come to us as we're going forward. I invite people to add additional names to that resolution of thanks. And then the very last thing we'll do is we'll move that resolution at the end. Okay, we did this in the last couple of years. So is there somebody who would like to move a resolution of thanks?
I so move.
Moved by Jane Hope. Is there a second to that? Okay, Adani, I saw your hand first. So that resolution is open as we go forward. We'll take a few minutes right now if people would like to add names of people to thank for their presence or their service or whatever over the past year. Please feel free to do so. I just invite you just to come up, either yell out very loudly or come up to the microphone if you have a soft voice, and then we'll then continue moving forward. But at any particular time, you can add a name of thanks.
The Cathedral staff.
Cathedral staff, thank you.
Rupert Lang and the choir.
Rupert Lang and the choir.
The greeters.
The greeters.
Kevin and Jane, retiring wardens.
Kevin and Jane are retiring wardens. Yes.
The live stream crew.
The live stream crew, thank you, yes.
The healing prayers ministry.
Healing prayer ministry.
The readers return.
The readers return. Aretha's return, yes. Yes. Amen.
And Douglas Yeed.
To Douglas Yeed. Thank you, yes. Judy?
Thank you.
The Monty Steering Committee.
The Monty Steering Committee, yes, one of our newer groups, yes.
Ian Birtwell.
Ian Birtwell.
Vanessa Holt.
Vanessa Holt.
Kathy's return.
Kathy's return. Yes.
Peter Olson for constant organization of the Narthex Greeters.
Peter Olson,
Yeah.
All those who work with the youth and children, with special thanks to Lauren for her time with us.
All those who worked on Children and Families Ministry, especially Lauren.
Our new parishioners, Kit and Nora.
Oh, yes. Yes.
For Bill or anchoring 9:30 morning prayer.
For Bill Orr anchoring the 9:30 prayer group. Yes. Any others right now? And as we move forward, I'll keep, yes.
I'd like to thank Douglas, and I know they mentioned his name, but the chiming.
The chiming, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Howard?
The choir provider and servers of Compline.
The Compline, yes, 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 the Compline team.
To Lorna for anchoring Bill.
Yes.
Bill and Lorna Orr for organizing the 7:30 services on Thursday in the morning.
This Thursday morning, for Bill and Warner, we're organizing 7:30 on Thursday, yes. Holly?
And Sarah Nathan for all her work with the Altar Guild and.
For Sarah, yes. All right, in the back, so we'll start with Andrea and work our way down.
I'd like to thank you, Chris, for getting to know us and helping us to become better
Thanks, Andrea. Yep.
I would like to thank the lay administrators.
The lay administrators
And all the servers.
and all the servers. Yep.
Megan Otten for organizing the servers.
For Megan Otten for organizing the service. And I'll just have to say, with the room dim like this and me wearing contact lenses, so I can't make out faces beyond a certain distance. So, you there, the man in the casket.
I think maybe building staff members, but name Moss and Ron and Sean and Jeremy.
Yes. And Jeremiah. If there are, again, we'll kind of move on to the meeting, but feel free as items come up to you. Every once in a while I'll ask, and if I don't, just stand up, put your hand up, and get up and say another name. All right. Moving along, our next item is the approval of the minutes from the 2023 annual Vestry meetings. I need somebody just to move those and second those first.
So moved.
Moved by Jane, seconded by Kevin, up there. So any additions, subtractions, amendments, edits to the minutes from last year?
Where are they?
They're online. All the material is up on the website under the tab that says Vestry. We have the Vestry minutes, the bios, the financials, and
audit report.
Where is it?
The cathedral.ca.
All the cathedrals, the front page of the cathedral website.
There's a tab.
There was a newsletter went out about it that directs you to, and then it's the item off of the top of the page. Yes, Carol.
It's just a comment that not everybody has access to the website.
Okay. Well, I'll give you a minute then for those of you that did not have a chance to look at them before.
So you just there's a tab. Oh yeah, there's the Vestry Reports 2024, and then if you scroll down, starting at page 5 of that, there's the minutes from last year.
Oh, just go to page, go to the cathedral.ca.
You want me to share or something?
Click on Vestry. Scroll down right there where it says Vestry Reports 2024.
Page 6.
Page 6.
Not that you should skim over the dean's message. Go back and read that later.
Yeah. Can you make it a little bigger? The type is like
There we go.
just go to the percentage. Make it a bigger percentage.
How slow do you want to scroll through?
Jeremy, if you just scroll up slowly. These are all Thanksgivings. We added the annual report to the Vestry meeting, there wasn't an item. We did the 20 review, the reception of the report. My talk, kind of swing by that one. It was a long talk. And then the nominating committee. Okay, keep. This is all about fossil moving to work to become fossil fuel, to become greener in nature.
This is all the question period.
Yeah, the green question. Appointments of the auditors. And then we have the adoption of the budgets. Claus had a question, road fund, PWRA and refugees. Wanted to thank Ian and Vanessa for all the work on that. David from Markham, and I know about the 127 Society. Then we did the endowment fund bylaw updates. And then we concluded. And we spoke about incense, and then we remembered those who had died in this last year. Prayer and then adjournment by Matt, and adjournment prayer by Matt.
Spelling of Matthew's name.
We could, yes, we can correct Matthew's name. Who was the secretary?
That was me. That was a trick thing. I wanted to see who would. The minutes. Right to the end. Right to the end.
The other five.
Matthew obviously hadn't.
All right. Well, we'll be able to next year, now that we've gotten everybody's information as to who has access and who does not, we'll be able to send copies to people directly. Okay, with that in mind, and maybe Mark, Kevin?
Are we approving those minutes now?
That's what I say, can we approve those minutes? Yes. All in favor of those minutes with Matthew's name corrected? Opposed? Wonderful. We then, so the next topic, so the next thing is me. So if we can switch to the next slide. So, growing up in small town New England, we had a general store. It was called Ackerman's General Store. It had been around for 75 years. It was begun by Austin Ackerman, and then it was passed on to his son, Austin Ackerman Jr. And then when I was growing up, it was being run by one of my contemporaries, Austin Ackerman III. So this store was in the center of town, and as you can see, well, actually, what you can see is in the corner there, I think Ian Burtwell is getting some gas. I did ask for his permission. But one of the things about this store is this store was in the center of town, and it was a place where the community came together. At this store, you could come down. The post office was there for over 54 years. It was the place where you came down, you could buy food, you could get groceries, you could get candy, you could get hardware, you could get agricultural items. There was ice cream, there was gas, like I said, everything you could possibly imagine. And it was also a gathering place for the community. There was a pot-bellied stove in the center, and people would come in, they would talk, everybody knew the owner, Junie, and he would give advice, and it was sort of the town. It was really a gathering place. It was a bulletin board, a place where people came to get information, where people came to be in community with other people, where people came to get sustenance of different kinds. I remember when I was growing up, the Durham Fair, which was the largest agricultural fair in New England, used to happen in the fairgrounds behind here. We used to park at the Ackermans because it was free, and we could walk down to the fair. So it was a place, really a center for community. And I'm just going to have to check what I was going to say to that. Yeah, it was a place for community. It was a social institution, a center of community where people came from wherever they were coming from, whether they lived in the town, whether they were passing through, whatever their journey was, and they got what they needed. They received their information, whether it be from friendship to sustenance. It was also a place where we put into practice what I want to call optimizing for the common good. And if you could switch the slide, Jeremy. So every year in the early spring, a bunch of us young guys would get a call from Ace. Ace was the nickname of Austin Ackerman III. And the Ace would ask us and say, all he would simply say was, the line's in. And what that meant was on that coming weekend, we'd all go down to the store and we'd haul 50-pound bags of lime from the pallets in the back storerooms where they've been offloaded, and we bring them into the store and we stack them. It took most of our Saturday mornings, and at the end of that, we get pizza and ice cream provided by the Ackermans, by Junie, who was Austin Ackerman II. And this event was replicated year after year, and we actually did it as the seasons passed. We were called in to do other things like that. So these were things that were what I call optimizing for the common good. Right? I didn't get any benefit from hauling the lime in. We hauled the lime in because it was something that the people needed for their yards, for their farms. We were helping the Ackermans. So in a way, we were coming together in a community and we were sharing the work. And we were, again, building our communal bounds at the same time. So this particular store acted as an intermediary between society and people. It provided a place of education and a center of where people in a world that's complicated by various crises and events could come. So we're here at the Cathedral, right? And you've heard me speak of the Cathedral as being 3 different cathedrals: the Parish, the Diocesan Cathedral, and the city's cathedral. And we too here are that safe place, that intermediary between society and people. We provide more spiritual education. We're a center of peace in a world complicated by systemic crisis. We're a safe place. We're a place where we can optimize for the common good. So I see us more and more this past year as being that place, the place where people come when they seek refuge, when they come to this country. People who work in the city, who are looking for a quiet place. People who are seeking information, a place to heal, a place to find sustenance, community, a place to find Jesus. Over the past few years, I've seen that how our doors provide an opening during the weekday for people to come into this quiet, safe space. Our cafe offering food and fellowship, our engagements with the various regiments that call us home, and with other social institutions where we are that safe place in the center, where people gather, people of all faiths, people of all creeds, people of all ethnicities and national origins. I found that whether I'm up at UBC in a forum on climate change, or if I'm at the Beatty Street Drill Hall, that people who are Sikh, Muslim, Baha'i, Buddhist, Jewish, they all come up and they engage and they see this as a spiritual home, regardless of where else they may go and be. So as we move forward into this year, I want us to, for those of you that did read my letter, who found it on the website, I mean, more and more we're seeing people who are coming to this country, who are new to Canada, who are political refugees, or simply newcomers into the country, are coming here, and they're looking for all of the above. We have people in this community who are in the midst of struggles with the demons of addiction, and this place is a place of solace and a place of refuge. And we have people who are struggling because of the high cost of housing and affordability who seek us here and come to this place. And so as we move forward into this year, I want us to remember that it's through that door that these people enter this place, through our doors, but also that at the door we encounter these individuals, and when we do so, we encounter, can you flip the slide, Jeremy? So remembering that as we go forward into this year and all that we do, that we here, who are the safe space, who are the place of peace, of solace, of information, of gathering, of spiritual growth, of sustenance, and all those other things, that we have a place where people come in, and when those people come in, that we encounter Christ. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. And if you hear my voice, I will come in and sup with you. We can't sing the rest part of it.
Oh.
All right. Thank you. That's all I have to say. So any questions, comments, thoughts? Okay. Yes.
I wonder if there's a place in the program to suggest this. That was so inspiring that I just wanted to make a suggestion that it might not be the right time to do it. But I volunteer to help organize, if they don't already exist, community meals or some sort of situation where we could just gather even once a month and have a community meal together. That would include a lot of those new programs.
So you can speak to Richard. Richard, are you here today? No. No. Richard is not here right now, but Richard is in fact trying to do that. That's wonderful. And speak. I'll connect you with Richard Salters, who's putting together these small group meetings, small meals, meeting over meals, and then you can speak to me. I mean, I'll be doing some with newcomers as well.
Yes,
So
community meals. Yeah.
Thank you, Adani. And I know David McMillan has also spoken about wanting to discern what we can do around this influx of people that we're seeing, and David would be somebody for those of you that have an interest to speak to as well. Adele?
Thinking of Richard Sulker, who is a primary member of St. Bridget's, I would like to give a shout out and a thanks to the St. Bridget's congregation and the 8 o'clock congregation.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. Thank you. Shout out, Richard Sulker is at the end, and St. Bridget's at 1:30, and also the 8 a.m. congregation as well. Great, thank you. Margaret.
I just want to thank all those who made reports and everything. Also thanking you, Chris, for your blessed leadership. But I wasn't sure where to ask this, but I noticed that PWRDF unit, or PWRDF in Parish wasn't in the reports. And I wondered, not just because I participated in helping that during the year, but whether or not that report could still be, and I want to thank Mark for his leadership.
It's whatever we receive, we put in.
I don't think it was invited, so I would just wonder if it still happened.
Oh, yeah, sure. It can always go in. We have a rolling deadline. All right, I'm going to regret saying that, but no, we do. Okay, wonderful. Our next item is this was not in the written reports, but it's an update by the search committee, and one of the co-chairs, Mark Halleck, will be giving this, and then after that, we can receive the annual reports that came in, including this one. So, Mark, you want to just please get up? You can use that mic there and turn it around. And,
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
No?
Yeah.
I can speak louder. Okay. I just want to add in a couple of thanks. Margaret reminded me the PWRDF, we had a fundraising event. I want to thank all the volunteers. Margaret included. A big thanks to Matthew. I won't pronounce his last name because I misspelled it. Is he here? Is he gone?
He stepped out.
Oh, convenient.
He was talking to his mama on the phone.
Oh, well, that's allowed then. He was our MC for the evening. He did a fantastic job. We had tons. We had Pamela and Shab who volunteered. Lauren was here. It was a wonderful evening, and we had Colombian food, and it was a great fundraiser. So I really want to thank all the volunteers for that. I want to thank Richard and his team. We had a Shrove or a Pancake Tuesday event, and we had volunteers for that. And thanks for everyone who participated and came out for that. And then I want to give a big thanks to the whole the search committee for the new music director. It's been a long process. We had to set up the parameters. It's sort of so parameters, evaluation matrix, all sorts of things. So it has been hours and hours and days just setting it up. It's been members of this church from Ted here we've got several members of the choir, Byron and Michael, who's also a trustee. And we have outside experts, Bridget, who is the choir director at St. Mary's. We have Ian Alexander, ex-host at CBC. He's done a whole bunch of recruiting for the Anglican Church and for St. Michael's Choir School, and he did his own recruiting at Christ Church in Victoria. An expert in this. I was sort of tapped on because I do a lot of recruiting for the city of Vancouver. Jane Osler has been a great co-chair. She took on the main part of getting us to here, and then the subcommittee, or let's call it the interview panel, we met on Friday and Saturday for 4 hours each day to do the interviews of 6 candidates who after these interviews I felt, well, after the first interview I jokingly said I could cancel the rest of the interviews. I feel confident in moving forward. Only to after Saturday's interviews going, oh boy, I'm glad we didn't cancel. We have some amazing candidates, all of which are 3 or 4 of them know Rupert quite well. All of them are very apprehensive to step into the shadow of Rupert, understandably so. They seem to know quite a bit about Rupert, that he started here in his mid to late 30s. I mean, there were some facts that I didn't know about Rupert that they all seem to know. It was very informative. So I'm here to say that I think once landed on, right now we have another set of interviews on next Saturday, on March 2nd. Then the whole committee is meeting on March 16th to go over the evaluations, and then we will be deciding on who is going to come for auditions and a final interview with the choir. And we're not quite sure how that's going to be arranged or how that's going to work. More to come, whether it's going to be on a Sunday service or just with the choir. The choir will have a great deal of input as well. But it's certainly, just reassuring that we've got some wonderful candidates. I mean, we were talking to people in UK, in Germany, in the States and in Canada, lots of different accents. So there's been a great, great big interest. Someone who was from New Zealand, now in the States. So I guess Vancouver is a place people, wish to reside and carry on their musical career. So I left Saturday very tired, but it really is draining. You're very present listening, you're writing all these notes down, but very, very engaged and very, very excited for a different future, but for the future of the musical ministry here at Christ Church Cathedral. So we'll continue to keep you updated. We're trying to be very transparent about it. We'll update you next when we probably after that March 16th meeting. So that's my update for you all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so having that, and along with the annual reports package which we have, I'm entertaining a motion to receive those Vestry reports.
I move.
By Jane, and I see Holly was second. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Excellent. Thank you all. Thank you everyone who participated in all of the various ministries that you saw highlighted. I do hope if you haven't already, you take a moment to read through those reports. They give you a good snapshot of kind of what we're doing and in terms of ministries, and also where we're going as well. And it's definitely worth a read. Coming up to the next one, and for Jeremy, for this one, I'll need you to pop to the website as well to move down. Is the report of the nominating committee, and Kevin, I think it's page 25, Jeremy. And Kevin Smith, if you can speak to that one.
You want me to say?
So once he gets up there, you're going to move it.
Which one is it?
So you're going to go to the Vestry reports. No, the Vestry report, page 25. Yeah.
Page 25?
Page 25. And maybe with this, before we do this, Kevin, if I could say, if everybody who has served this year, these last 2 years in leadership, would you mind standing, please? Those who are here, those of you who are trustees, right now, if you could all stand, please. Those are the trustees that are here. I see Irene was there somewhere. Our treasurer, Irene's sitting down doing something. Irene, never mind, look away from Irene. We also have Mark was our secretary of the corporation. All right, and then members of Parish Council who were here as well. If you could all stand. Those of you who are here, I saw Penny here before, Barbara. And then the rest of them as we'll go through. We also have Jane Dittrich. You just scroll down to so I can see the other offices. Those are the same. Oh, perfect. Our different ministry representatives. So Mark was our PWRDF rep. Nikki was the coordinator of lay volunteers last year. Richard Sulkers was the chair of Parish Council. And along with Mark, Jane Dittrich was our Sorrento rep. And we also had no stewardship chair last year. We had Carlos was our screening and bid coordinator. Our endowment fund administrators last year was for Hope, Matthew, Harry, Douglas, and Ted. So if we could just give a round of thanks and applause. Okay, and then Kevin, now, sorry, back to you. So if you could scroll back to the top, Jeremy, thanks.
Just on behalf of the nominating committee, it's my pleasure to move an omnibus resolution that the names that you see in the report on screen or on your devices if you're looking online be approved as the incoming group of lay officers and elected leaders for the year ahead. And many thanks to all of them for being willing to serve.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
Jane Hope. Let me go through this list and I'll ask those, I know everyone's not here today, but for those who are here, if you could stand as well so people can see. So Michael Law, I know, is not here today.
I was just sorry to interrupt, but comment to you as well. There's a sheet of biographies on the website as well. So if there are names that you don't know and you'd like to find out a little bit more about people who've put themselves forward to serve, there are little blurbs on the same Cathedral webpage about the Vestry.
And are there still others to be appointed, the ones that are appointed rather than
the ones that are saying TBD? We'll get to that in a moment. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the lay trustees. So 2 of these are appointed. So the Rector's Warden Michael Law is appointed. People's Warden Holly McMillan, if you stand will be for election. The Associate Rector's Warden appointed Mark Halleck. The Associate People's Warden to be elected Irene Pang. Don't look in the back, but she's back there. Elected trustees Douglas Yee, who is over here, and Gordon Matheson. Is Gordon here today? I do not see Gordon. Nope. Okay. Moving along, officers, Secretary of the Corporation Jennifer Barr will be appointed. Jennifer is not here today either. Treasurer Terrence Clark is here. Assistant Treasurer Isabel Wu, or Isabel Young.
She's visiting her new granddaughter.
She's got a new granddaughter today. Okay, so that's more important. And then we have our past treasurer, the fellow you saw in the picture. Moving along, our lay delegates to Synod. Again, our pattern here is that the trustees are the primary delegates, and then we have people from Parish Council and officers who are moved on as alternates. Parish Council, we are electing at-large members. We have Barbara Brown. Barbara is here. We have Ann Fletcher, who's in the back. I have Byron Jang. Byron's over there.
Yay.
And Byron, I still can't believe, looking at your bio, that you've been coming here for over 50 years.
No, not over 50. Not over 50.
Matthew Litchiporic. Matthew is a repeat. Matthew is not here right now. And Penny Zhao. And Penny is, I saw Penny earlier. Penny's not here right now either. And then our ministry representatives, again, Andrew Bartlett has stood forward as a PWRDF representative. Nikki Sepola has agreed, thankfully, to be the coordinator for lay ministries again. Richard Sulkers is taking on home groups. So that was a kind of what you were talking about, Adani, the small groups for people getting together for meals, but he's putting them together at homes. We have Jane Dittrich has agreed to be our Sorrento Center rep again. Jane Osler, stewardship chair, and Kathy Irwin is the screening and faith coordinator. Moving down, endowment fund administrators. So under the new bylaws that were enacted at the end of 2022, we have 3-year terms now. So Ian Burtwell is standing to be elected as chair for a 3-year term. Matthew George is continuing. Harry Kim is continuing. Ted Chasen is going to stand for a 3-year term. And then we have the 3 appointments. One appointed to take my place, one appointed to represent the trustees, and one to represent the larger group called Parish Council. Okay. And that's it. You can just say there. So motion was moved, seconded, as an omnibus. So all in favor? And opposed? Okay, thank you. And thank you to everybody who has served already and those who were offered to serve going forward. I want to say that everyone's ministry is important. Those who step forward for leadership are really giving of their time and their efforts, and it's not something that fits easily into a package. Like, you can't just say. I mean, I tell them that, there's only 9 meetings a year, but as you know, it really takes a lot of effort and a lot of commitment to stand forward and to serve. So I really thank you all for putting yourselves forward. Okay, and moving on to our next agenda item. If you just scroll up, Jeremy. Oh, the other way. Sorry, down. We have the names of those who the process is. They're approved here, sent to me, and I forwarded them to the bishop. People to be lay administrants of communion. And if you could just scroll up a little higher so we can see his names. And I would entertain a motion to move this. Kevin, seconded. I saw in the back Carol, who is the coordinator of this ministry. All in favor? Opposed? Wonderful. Thank you all. And at this point, we will move on. Our next item, so if we can go back to the agenda. Give the tab. Yeah. And actually, while Ian, is Claire still here? Or did Claire go?
Here.
Claire, could you maybe give us a little music while Ian is getting his computer set up? If you don't mind.
Something like
just a little financial budget.
Something. What's this song by Dire Straits? Money for Nothing?
Church for free.
While we're setting up, I'd like to give a shout out to the leadership squadron for men's breakfast.
Yes.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Here.
For those who didn't download the one-pager, which has got last year's financial comparisons of 22 and the budget. So it'll come on. You may have to share, so only 50.
Let's go back to it. The sun it shines and then goes down. Glory. Rain it falls and seeds the ground. Glory. Dust it blows and it's my day's glory.
just want to add a thanksgiving for Claire and their ministry.
That's better. Thank you, Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And if at some point you can't hear me, just wave at me, because I have a tendency to move around. I just want to say that when I used to fill up my car at the general store in the Parish, one of those big gas closers, you used to fill it up and you get change out of a $5 bill. Times have changed. And I just note that my term has actually officially ended a few minutes ago. So anytime there's any hostile questions, I will pat my mind. And tax receipts, I know people have been asking. We had some issues with the changeover in software, a bit of trouble getting them out. Apologise for getting them out late. It did go out, I think, over 600 on whether Thursday or Friday, Kathy, by email. If there are any questions with them, please get hold of Kathy or Vanessa. We hope we got them all right. There are about another 160 people who we don't have email addresses for. And those have been now printed off and are going to be, they're not in the mail, but they will be in the mail shortly, Monday or Tuesday. I want to start just by expressing my thanks again, my thanks and gratitude to Vanessa Holt. What an absolute pleasure it's been. Thanks, Vanessa. Before, it's not just about numbers and outcomes. Vanessa really cares about this community, and I know a lot of you attest to that. What I'm going to talk about today is, the first part is audit, but I'm really not going to address the audit. I've got a couple of copies here if people have specific questions on the numbers in the audit. It's pretty thorough. A lot of detail, but if you want some real information about our funds, that's the place to go looking. It was on the web. It's a 30-odd page document, so we didn't want to print a lot. The first part of the presentation, I will go through last year's financials, and then we'll have a motion, and we'll be open for a discussion at that point, and then we'll move into budget. Next slide, Jeremy. Okay, and at the forum, a lot of people were asking questions about how various parts of our funding connected, and particularly about are we just drawing down our reserves? And the short answer is we have been drawing parts of our reserves down, but the reserves are set up. They're investment funds. They do earn money, and they are deliberately set up to be supportive for parish ministry. It's not that they're not savings accounts sitting over there that we'll pass on to our heirs and offspring. They're funds that are set up specifically for supporting parish ministry in various ways. Sometimes very specific, can only be for music, can only be for outreach. So this slide just sort of outlines just the overview. So in the middle we have the parish operations, where we have donations and expenditures more than our donations and building revenues, outside grants. And that difference there, the auditors call it shortage or shortfall in revenue for expenses, we cover up for the most part by drawing from other funds. I just want to quickly describe them. So starting in the top left, the endowment funds, the reserves, there are 1.5 million. The capital that's protected is probably about 1.2 million. The other is reserves, and the way that most of the investors for the Pine Tour Foundation, they keep that reserve, so in good times they're okay, in bad times they can keep going with their draws every year. And most of that has come over the years from parishioners and trustees that put those in the endowment for the reserve side. So there's a main fund, there's a music fund, there's one for the Wish Foundation, small ones, and then there are four that are in the 50 to 100,000 range, where they're primarily for help for homeless, help for people on the margins, that sort of. The Heritage Building Fund is sort of a remnant from restoration. So and the fundraising we did for restoration, particularly the last roof and kitchen spire project, where we have more money. We have money coming in, but it's pledged over time, and so we had a bank loan to cover that. We have been over the, I think, 6-7 years now. We have been building up with a few more requests in there. It's used as a capital fund, so replacement of the sound system, the lighting, the air cooling tower that we're replacing this year, the heat pump, so the big ticket items. It's also where the Park Place income comes into Heritage, and then we transfer it out to operations for the parish ministry, providing we take care of the building. The Maura MacLeod Outreach Fund this fund is now about 15-18 years in. It started out about 450, I think. So over the years it's earned a lot, and we've been using it quite heavily for the last few years, but it's still got 304,000 in it. And it specifically is for outreach. It cannot be used for the building, and it cannot be used for operations. So we use that for paying for Monday food and for the grant to the 127 Society of Powers.
And could you move closer to the mic?
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
There are a few minor funds, sabbatical funds, specifically to fund sabbaticals, and curacy fund, Pass the Torch. It's a fund set up after Peter left for the new dean to start any new ministry, and for the future. Not a lot, but there's some money available there. The refugee fund is sort of off our operating balance sheet. That amount that's there is the amount we have that's available for distribution, not just to the family that we're raising money for, but also 3 other family groups that are sponsored through the diocese, and we're the banking operation for them. We took the money in and provided receipts, and now we're giving it out on a monthly basis to the refugee families. Special projects fund, that it covers all sorts of things like quite a bit of money in there for a new stained glass window, for money for altar guild alms, a few other little ones, and transition. We put a good question there about 5 years ago, knowing that we were going to be going through the transition with the rector and the music director, so we needed some funds to cover up those searches and any expenses. And then there are requests, and if they are allocated for something very specific, we put them there, or if not, we put them in the parish ministry fund, or trustees determine where it should go. So all that supports the ministry operations, which is really just the revenue in and out for the year that we look at. That's how we balance it out. They're a much bigger picture than just that one fund we look at. New slide. Okay, so a quick summary. This is the 2023 results. The donations were down from parishioners and friends and visitors, about 13% from budget, and we had budgeted actually for a 4% increase. So little alarm there, and it happened all year. Total revenues though were up at 1.176.
Could you hold the mic, because I think people in the back may not be able to hear.
Yeah,
Could you just hold the mic? Like, you take it out and hold it. Just hold it.
Ian, pretend you're Mick Jagger. Swallow it.
It's an ice cream cone.
John, do you want the dance moves too?
So total revenues ended up 5% over budget because there was an extraordinary donation. I'll get more on that later, and some higher building use. And expenditures came in very close to budget, just slightly under. So the transfers from Cathedral funds that we needed to do were a little less. And the bottom line is that the deficit for the year that we posted was 90,000 instead of the 90,000, it was at 38. Next slide, Jeremy. So on the revenue side, we were overly optimistic about the donation revenues and the full return to normal. There have been some signs of that, but it just haven't been yet reflected in donations. So line 4 in the handout there, and it's column 3. The visitor was down 110,000, so that's quite a drop, 13%. That's quite a chunky drop, and it was concerning all year. So many thanks to all the parishioners who together have continued to generously support the community, and it's enabled the ministries to the Cathedral to carry on in what's been a very difficult year. Line 8, building use donations were up quite substantially, partly from a filming event, which actually wasn't a very big one. It happened in the lane, but they used the hall, so it wasn't disturbing upstairs. But mainly a lot of the hard work from Jeremy. Thank you, Jeremy, for bringing in a lot of concepts. And we get really good responses from the user groups that come here about how good the staff are, how full we are. Sorry, I'm trying to find my place. The building use, yeah, that's then the anonymous donation. It was a few days after Vestry last year, in early March. In the mail, a check for $200,000.
Wow.
Anonymous.
You all know what you have to do.
Yeah.
and it was specifically for the repair and maintenance of the heritage building.
Wow.
If the donors are here today, thank you. Thank you. So we do know where it originated, but not who, and we're respecting their request for privacy. So totally, the revenues for the year were up 59%, 5% over budget. So the expenditures, Jim, essentially on budget was 8,000 down, which is pretty good going in a year when there were a lot of inflationary pressures. The 13 staff were down just a little, general operations up, and that's primarily, I think, just the inflation costs on supplies and materials. The other cathedral ministries, so these are the altar guilds, the healing, touch, healing, prayer. It's a lot of it, the smaller ministries, but holding the line quite well. So, and thanks to the staff and volunteers for managing quite well, and people knew it was going to be tough and started taking a very careful look at the budget halfway through the year, how they could make savings without compromising our ministers. Okay, the next slide, Jeremy, please. So just going back to that very first slide we had, so where do we where do we fund the shortfall there. This is where we did it this year. These were actually all budgeted last year. We expected to be doing this. There were a few grants we didn't make from the endowment fund for Monday, primarily because those funds didn't have enough revenue to be able to make a meaningful grant until probably late November, early December last year. We just didn't have time to set that up. So the two bequests that our insurance and the bequests that we noted last year came in. So those bequests were placed in the operating fund. We drew down $300,000 in Park Place, further $160,000 from Incan. We had available because in 2021 and 22 we had some government COVID grants and assistance from the diocese, so we didn't need to bring in as much. But we had some left over, we could use it. There were some endowment fund grants. And the McLeod Outreach Fund, say for Monday and for the 127 Society, some money from Passing the Torch Fund, primarily for time for Chris with the regimental ministries and for some of the new software, and 15, which was just drawing down monthly for the purity. So at the end of the day, the net deficit was down to 38,000. So still a deficit, but lower than we were budgeted. Next slide. Okay. So I move, and seconded by Kevin Smith, that the Local Banks and Audited 2023 financial statements be received. And I'll open up for questions. Barbara?
Did you want a seconder?
No, it's seconded by Kevin. Unless you wish to second it, Kevin.
Happy to defer.
I did have a question. The grant from Park Place.
Yep.
It's reduced by almost $100,000 in the last 3 years. Like each year, it's gone down about $100,000. Is that what the contract is?
No. It has been different each year going down because we've been drawing in 300, and now we've been drawing in some more as needed from the Park Place money that was in from previous years that we didn't use. So we've been drawing. We've started 3 years ago drawing quite a bit more, and that has been reduced.
But the amount we receive is the same. It's just
Can I just
the
interrupt for a
reserve.
second? Can everybody hear the questions?
No.
Okay. So, Barbara, I'm gonna give you this mic.
Put it over the table.
That coffee cup and the iPad
Thank you. My question was, it appears on the paper for the budget that we're reducing the income from the Park Place fund by $100,000 a year, and I just want an explanation for that. Thank you.
Was that okay?
Yes, thank you. Oh, I did want to know.
Did everyone get the
what's the capital in that fund? Sorry.
What is the capital?
The capital in the Heritage Building Fund.
Thank you.
Ian, sorry. For the newcomers in the room, could you give a very brief explanation for what Park Place money is?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, I will. I was going to do it later on, but I will. The Park Place money is money that comes in from an agreement that we have, which is now in its 40th year, an agreement with the owners of Park Place next door, which is if you work for government, is your pension plan. And the arrangement was signed way back in '74, and it took a while to get into play, about 8 years, but it provides for $225,000 a year for the first 20 years, each year, and then for the next 25 years, 300,000 a year. And this is the last of that 20-year tranche. And this year, we are negotiating, renegotiating on a fixed formula basis what the payments can be for the next 20 years. And it's a basis on market value, and there's a fixed formula of how we arrive at that number. So.
Can I ask who's on the negotiating team? Is it? I just wondered who the
There
negotiators
is,
were.
the team, I wouldn't say we're actually negotiating, but the team is myself, Kevin, Chris, and Ted.
Ted Chaser.
But it's really, eventually it's the trustees that will make decisions, and we also have employed a team of professionals, appraisers, and top lawyers.
Other top lawyers.
we don't want our own lawyer acting for us.
Ian, I think it would help newcomers if they knew why we had this fund.
Yeah, okay, very quickly, and it will be quickly. And we have this fund because years and years ago we were applying to the city to demolish the building. We were a parish that was land rich and cash poor, an outcry in the city, and eventually a very unique arrangement where we share our density with the developer next door. He can use our density, we get paid, and our obligation is to maintain it as a heritage building, in a nutshell.
I have a question. I can't find a line in the budget now, but my ears pricked up when you said something about a revenue from filming,
yep.
Which sounded substantive. Is there a way to increase revenue? I know the film industry is wrong, but is there a committee or someone that is?
We are approached every now and again by companies. It is a good place to film for people. It was good during COVID times, better now. It does disrupt us, but we are open to do it as long as it doesn't interfere with our.
Right. Are you on a list of sets? Jeremy's the one that's doing that. Okay.
I mean, for a question like that, feel free to speak with Jeremy after.
Sure.
He's aggressively seeking people to utilize the space.
In the words of the former treasurer, Tudor Omni, there are no more questions, are there? Okay, somebody call the question. Unless there's somebody desperate that wants to ask more questions.
I'll call the question.
As all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next slide. Oh, just a note there. I'm not moving a motion to reappoint the Rob Benson as the auditors. We don't have a problem with them. They've been very good, but it's 4 or 5 years since we went out and checked out, so it'd be timely just to go out and test the market. When we did it before, they were by far and away the most appropriate auditors for us. They are auditors for many parishes and for the diocese.
There's David's got a question, I think.
Because the appointment of an auditor is the requirement of this body, do we need to pass a motion to authorize the trustees to appoint an auditor so that we have on record that we as a vestry have dealt with the issue?
Thank you. It wouldn't hurt. Yeah.
So then I will so move that this excuse me. I will so move that this vestry authorizes the new trustees to appoint an auditor in due course, appoint an auditor after review and in due course.
Okay. Happy to second that.
Cool. Kevin is seconded.
Call question.
All in favor?
Thanks, David.
Contrary? Thank you. Thanks, David.
Mara's got a question, yeah.
Okay, so moving into...
Sorry, Ian, just one more question.
Thank you, Father. I just had a question about coming back to the increasing the revenue. You know that there are transfer between parish, ministry, and capital funds. Is there a way that we have a wealth management and a wealth asset management portfolio for the church where the revenues are being managed for the capital investment?
Sorry, I don't quite understand your question.
So what he's asking is, do we have a group of people who are doing wealth management
of
around
the church?
the capital that we have?
No, but we are. Most of it is invested. The endowments at the Vancouver Foundation. They managing billions of dollars, doing a great job. Our other investments are through the diocese, and we rely on the diocesan treasurer and his committee to give direction on where those funds are invested. Okay. Budget. So this is all these numbers now in the fourth column of handout that I gave out. Total offerings we're projecting to be up 5%, and that's based on very preliminary returns from last year's stewardship, where the analysis of it showed that on average the pledges from admittedly not a huge group, 41 people, which by pledging is a little low, but it's not super low, but it is a small cohort. Their pledging was up 11%. So based on that, there was some comfort that we could move that line up just a little. There will be some stewardship work around it. There's some stewardship initiatives going to be underway with working with Jim also. Skip the next line for now, the deficit challenge. I'll come back to it. Line 7, Monday, that's the budgeting there is just the external grants that we have from different organizations. We will need to raise some more granting for 2025. That's the budget, that's the amount we have available for this year from previous grants. Line 8, building use donations, we're projecting that up slightly, so 4% raised. We will have to look at maybe some more filming. I believe Jared's been asked to look at our rates. We have to be very careful there. We're dealing with a lot of non-profit organizations, arts groups, and they're having tough times too with their budgets. So this is why you can't price yourself out of the market, and there's a reasonable amount of competition. Diocesan grants are forecasting 36,000 there. Some of them are already in, we know about, and there's a couple more in application. So total revenues budgeting to be 1.123. That's 5% down from last year. Next slide. On the expenditure side, the big change there is on line 23, so that's the total salary line for all clergy and staff. And that results from the staffing restructuring changes that were initiated last fall. So the staffing costs are going to be about 151,000 lower next year, or this year, despite adding again about 42,000 for cost of living increases. All the expenditure lines below that, ministry coordinators were asked to try and achieve 8% reduction. Some could, some couldn't, not easy with inflation and pressure. So trustees worked through all the suggested items on a line-by-line basis and adjusted where we could. Assessments, line 31 is the amount we pay to the diocese and then the national church for their work. We're down 32,000 from last year, and that's primarily just a function of the way assessments are done. They're based on a 3-year average, and so we're now fully into the last 20, 21, 22 is the basis for this year's assessment. So they're all quite low because of COVID. They may go up in 25. And
the other cathedral ministries were just down below. Next slide, Jeremy. The net shortfall we have before the transfers is going down a bit, 679, and that's how we're proposing to balance off match most with 80,000 in requests, and we know that will be in and a little bit more. And I got a check today for a bit more than that. Park Place income 300 down, 92,000. So again, we're going down broad. A little bit less. That's about all we have available from past years. And down from grounds is at least that capacity for giving for parish ministry operations and for Monday. The Cloud Outreach funds grants as before from the 127 Society and a big grant to Monday. We can use it for Monday, you know, literally part of our operations. It's outreach, and so we've had some legal opinions, so that's okay. And just some minor other funds. So we're projecting the net deficit for 24 to be 53,000. The next slide. Okay, so just going back to the two line items I wanted to talk about. The preliminary budget meeting we had at the end of January, we were faced with a deficit that was looming at more than 150,000, and we don't have that available in our reserve funds, nor is it acceptable to be at that level. We went through a very severe line-by-line review of everything that we could. Where could we find some savings? What could we reduce? Where do you cut back? It's tough. We managed to find about 45,000 in changes, little changes on the revenue side, mostly on the expenditure side, without making any deep cuts. Because where do you cut? Cut music? Saying I don't think so. Cut Monday. Cut out clergy. Anywhere we do to make deeper cuts would severely impact at least some parts of our operations, and there'll be a little bit of pushback. So after that meeting, we were coming back for another meeting a week later, and between the first meeting and the second, it's determined by some of the people around the table that raising the revenues was the only way to go, and there were some suggested gifts that would be forthcoming, and when we looked at that and looked at where we were as a parish, where we were going, we tested the waters a little bit more, and we're very encouraged that we can meet that $90,000 goal. In fact, I would say we'd be encouraged, we might go over. It's a tough one. We're talking about gifts over and above people's regular monthly giving. It will be properly stewarded. We'll be working with the stewardship committee to go out and reach out to people. But in the meantime, if anybody feels inclined that they could manage something, just get in touch with either me or Vanessa or Kathy. And that would be very confidential, and it would be over and above your regular giving. To address the elephant in the room question, we did talk about it a little earlier. Park Place, for this year, we've included at the $300,000 level from the last 20 years. It should go up this year. It certainly should change. We haven't reached any agreement on that yet. It's early days. It's not due to be done until October. There have been some ongoing discussions with Quadrille and Park Place owners. If we hopefully we can come to some agreement. If we don't by October, we can, or they can trigger arbitration. it will get sorted at some point, and we do have a very professional team in place advising and acting on that plan. So next slide, please. So moved by me, seconded by Jane Hope. The 2024 budget proposed by trustees be adopted.
Thank you. Ian, last year's budget has a deficit of $38,000. How is that addressed in this year's budget? Where does it get carried forward?
No, it gets addressed in the reserve funds. At the end of each year, when the audit closes and they balance the books, if there's a surplus, it goes into the reserve and builds a reserve up. And if there's a deficit, it goes into the reserve and takes the reserve down. That's how it's dealt with every year. It's not something that's been billed and we have to pay back. It's just we have a balancing fund. Thank you.
Thank you. I know that between comparison of 2024 budget versus 2023, the total revenues are down, so it's implied that the expenditure has to be down in some certain constraints. But is there a way that church is considering to get adding more stakeholders by getting the government grants or heritage fund grants that would help church establish a better cultural programs that could be directly working with the Dean Director's office?
Yeah, you're talking about getting outside grants, and we do get quite a number. We had at one point a couple of years ago, we had over 125,000 in various outside grants, primarily from Maundy. We've had one grant this year from Mosaic, which works with immigrants, and Jogo Sellers paid from that grant. And there are grants available. We do explore them when we can, but there's not a lot of private funding for church operations. There would be funding for outreach work, but not for church operations.
Any other questions?
Chris told me that the maximum is less is more. That actually only works on the expenditure side of it.
Yes,
but
I don't see
I think we need to
stop applying the revenue. Yeah.
And I can be if you've got detailed questions, I can be available. Or now retired Terence would be available. Call the question. Yeah, I can't call it. Call the question.
All in favor?
Anybody opposed? Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ian. Give a shout out and a thanks to Ian for the work he's done.
It actually has been effective.
It is, yes. Thank you, Ian.
At times.
All right, moving on. So before we get to that, are there any more thanks? I'd like to shout out a thanks to all the clergy. I know we've had some individuals offered, but to all the clergy who've given their time, the honoraries as well as the stipendiaries. I think for their wonderful effort, especially those who are serving as chaplains to some of the various ministries. Also, thanks to the Maundy volunteers, and then we thank the steering committee, but we've got a huge number of 55 volunteers.
Thanks for Ben Dobbins for all their work with the student tech and with St. Bridget's.
Yeah, thanks to Ben Dobbins for their work.
Thanks to the Justice Group, the Rescue Sheilas Group, and the Tax Group, the ministries
the justice group, the tax group, and the refugee group.
Cats.
Cats.
Cats. Yes. Or cats? No, we don't. All right, thank you for all of those. Any others?
We thank Carol.
We thank Carol Cook. We can thank Carol Cook for the one and the 135 committee for their work on our anniversary years of efforts. I want to thank all of the volunteer receptionists that come into the cathedral during the week. All right, we'll have a chance to finish up, but before that, I'd like to invite Alistair up just to lead us in a prayer for those who were with us but are no longer here.
Thanks, Chris. Let us pray. Almighty and merciful God, we come before you with heavy hearts, remembering those from our communities who have departed from this life in the last year. We lift up their souls to your loving embrace, asking for your comfort and peace to surround their families and loved ones. Grant them eternal rest. They may find solace in your presence. Help us to cherish the memories of their lives and to honor their legacies through acts of kindness and compassion. Strengthen us who remain in our faith, knowing that you are the source of hope and resurrection. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Alistair. And then last call for any other Thanksgivings. Yes?
It's for the prayer link. People who pray each day.
The prayer link? Yes.
I guess this is for the past year.
Yep.
Alicia, for all the work that Alicia did.
Yeah. For the work that Alicia did for GOMS, yes. Yes, John.
This is a partial thanks, but I've never been in a church where there are so many new faces, you might say strange faces. Each week in the church would be at least a dozen new faces I see, and some weeks more. And sometimes I see them, particularly when they come down for coffee, they're standing alone and no one's talking to them. I've never been in a church which has this, we talk about evangelism, I've never been in a church which has all these new faces walking in. You don't have to stand on the footpath to get them in. So can I encourage you I know it's fun talking to your friends, but to say hello to people and work out a routine that's not offensive, such as, I don't think I've met you before, because in the seniors moment you may have met them the week before and forgotten. And don't ask them where they come from. That's rather, another question is, are you a resident of Vancouver or are you visiting? But it's an incredible opportunity, which I've never seen in any other church we've been in. Try not to just talk to your friends and try and find someone each week who you haven't met before with that, I don't think I've met you before. Yeah, thanks.
And if this is your first Vestry meeting, if this is the first time you've been with us, thank you for picking Christ Church Cathedral. Yeah. We're so glad you're here.
Yeah. Okay, so I'd like at this point to, if there is no more thanks, I'd like to call the question on the resolution of thanks.
I don't think Carlos for all the work that he did.
Yeah. For Carlos as well for his work last year. Yeah. Okay. All right. And that's it. So call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Awesome. Thank you all, and thank you everybody for your work. And then last but not least, we'll have I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. And all in favor of that, and opposed? Wonderful. I'd like to invite Pastor Christian and Pastor Matthew to come forward to pray and bless us out. Matthew, Christian. Christian. So Pastor Matthew, if you can pray, and then Pastor Christian, if you can bless us.
Hello, Gracious God, you call your pilgrim church on journeys to which we cannot see the end, by paths as yet untrodden and through perils as yet unknown. It's not, O Lord, that we need to know exactly where we're going, or even whether we'll get there, but only to recognize that your love surrounds us and your grace upholds us. Bless this pilgrim people. Lavish it with blessings and every good thing, and keep it steadfast. All these things, O Lord, and whatever you see fit to grant for the sake of him who gave himself for us, Jesus the Lord, who lives and reigns with you, one God, age to age. Amen.
Amen. People of God, and may the peace of God which passes all understanding keep your heart and mind in the knowledge and love of God and of his Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. And may the blessings of God the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit be with you all and remain with you now and always. Amen.
Thank you all.
It's over. Thank you guys. Thank you for everything.
What's your first Vestry?
So, how are you feeling?
It's nothing that
Thank you.